piece of that hung with you. We have one of Dan's very, very kindly donated. He has something called the iron bonsai. And he actually creates a bonsai out of steel that he has bent. We actually have one out there for the raffle. So if you really were impressed by that, want to take a piece of history home with you, Dan donated one for the raffle. So please bid on that.
Okay. At every induction ceremony, there's somebody that presents you and inducts you. That was a speech. Right now, this is a big, big honor for me to even be in the same room with all these guys. And it's a humbling experience. This is Dennis Rogers, a very close friend of Slim the Hammerman. And he's going to induct Slim with a speech today.
All right, thank you. First of all, I just wanted everybody to be calm. Slim told me on the way over that he talked to the Lord and the rapture will not happen today. So just relax and enjoy yourself. I'm so honored to be up here introducing my friend, and I want you to know if there's anybody deserving to go into this, it's both Adam and Slim to be inducted in this museum. To give you a little idea on how Slim got into this. When he was 8 years old, his parents would go to Zern's Market and take him there, and as they shopped, they would set him on the table and say, let's sit out here and listen to this old man. And of course, Slim just sat there, and he got very fascinated by listening to the mighty Adam and watching him sell his wares and all, and bending his stuff. Well, he used to go there one day a week. 10 years later, he's married, and he's going there both Friday and Saturday night and taking his wife, still sitting in the same place because he was so fascinated with what he saw and what he heard. Well, when he turned 20, he was now 6'6", 210 pounds, and a stone cutter. And he's sitting at the same table listening to the Adam when the mighty Adam picks up a spike. And he said, how is it that this old man amongst you is the only one that can bend this spike? And he was staring directly at him. And everybody turns and looks at Slim. So Slim, if you know Slim, Slim says, I know you're not talking to me, old man. And the Adam said, can you bend it? He said, I can do it if you can do it. So the Adam told him, come on up and give it a try. So the Adam brought him up and put it in his hands. He said, okay, you put it in your hands like this, and you put your elbows tight, you bring it up to your chin, and you pull down. So Slim took it in his hands, and no, that didn't feel right. So he turned his hands over. And the Adam said, oh no, you can't do it that way. Nobody can do it that way. He said, take your hands and put them underneath like this. And he took his hands again like that. And Slim said it just didn't feel comfortable, so he turned his hands and put it back up again. And he just went with his hands away from his chest. He just went like that and bent it into a U. And the Adam was like, no one can do that. But he just did it. So then he said, is there anything else you can do? And Slim said, well, yeah, I'm a stone cutter. I can take a 16-pound hammer, I can get down on the floor, and I can just lay it on the floor and just pivot it straight up. And the Adam said, well, I'd like to see that. So the next week, Slim went back out to Zern's, and he took his hammer. And right before the show started, he got the Adam, and he said, come on over and I'll show you. And he laid his towel out on the floor, and he got down on his knee like this. And the Adam squatted down with him, and he said, okay, I'm just going to grab it, and I'm just going to stand it up. And the Adam said, no, that's impossible. You can't do that. He said, no, I can do it. And Slim took it and just tilted it right up, and he goes, but no man should be able to do that. And so Slim proceeded to do it 4 or 5 times. By now, everybody's looking, and they're amazed at it. And Slim immediately said, one day this man will be very famous at hammers. So naturally, that pumped Slim up. He was so excited. So he went home and he started training. And the hammers, he couldn't find any hammers heavy enough, so he got bolts and put them on the end of the hammers and added weights and that. Started going up, and it was getting it was getting easy. So he decided he would go ahead and take 2 hammers and do it at the same time. But he found that by taking 2 hammers and do it at the same time, it was uncoordinated to bring them up. So what he did is he hooked them together and started practicing like that. And of course he got to some very, very big lifts. He would pick them up off the floor like that, and then stand up, hold them out, and lower them to his nose. Well, then finally in the summer of 1975, the mighty Adam said to him, "Go ahead and grab your hammers, we're going to the garden." So Slim went to Madison Square Garden, got to perform with his mentor, and there he set a world record of levering 56 pounds on 31-inch handles. Now get this, that equals 1,736 pounds of torque on his wrist. That's incredible. Now, something else you should know about a strongman. We never do our max when we're putting on a show. That wasn't Slim's max, and we'll get to that. When I first read about Slim, I was an arm wrestler, and I read about him in Arm Wrestling Magazine along with the Adam. And I was fascinated reading this article by Big Boff, and I kept looking at the pictures of two of them, and I was going, man, this is so amazing. The Slim was wearing a bar on his nose and all this, and levering the hammers. And I just was in hopes of meeting him. And then one day, I went to an arm wrestling contest in Virginia, and I see him walking down the hall. He's now 6'6", 212 pounds, jet black hair, combed slick back, and his arms look like tree trunk. I remember thinking, God, it looks like bark on his arms as he was walking around. And I mean, I was just in awe. And it was at that same tournament, there was this guy, and he was doing feats of strength, and he was just messing around with his friends, and he had a chair sitting out, and he was showing off with his friends, and he was grabbing the chair by the back leg, and he was saying, "I'm the only one that can do this," and he was picking it up level and showing everybody. Well, Slim happened to be walking down the hall, and he says, "You can't even do it." I'll just give you all a little clue. You never say "can't" to him. Slim said, "Oh, yeah?" He says, "Yeah, you can't even do it." So Slim went over. He got to the chair. He got down. He said, Then he turns to the guy's son, and he said, "How old are you, son?" He said, "Well, I'm 10. He said, "Do me a favor and sit in that chair." So the 10-year-old sat in the chair, and Slim gets down, and he grabs the leg and checks the grip. He said, "Okay." Then he stands up, opens his wallet, takes 5 $100 bills and lays them down. He says, "Okay, cover it." The guy goes, "You're crazy." He said, "Cover it or shut up." And the guy shut up, and he walked away. And of course his buddies go, "Slim, what would you have done if he covered it?" He goes, "Believe me, I'd have lifted it because I wasn't about to lose $500. Now, that was the first time I saw Slim. The first time I met him was actually in 1991. John Brookfield introduced me to him at the Association of Old Time Barbell and Strongmen. He introduced him to me. I just shook his hand and I kind of walked away. And we didn't really become friends until 1996. So I remember the first time I came up and saw him, he says, "I'm going to take you to dinner." And he takes me to dinner, and the first thing we did, we go out to dinner. He says, "Okay, I got a question for you." And I said, "Well, what's that?" And he said, "How come it took you 5 years to talk to me?" I said, "Man, you scared the daylights out of me the first time I met you." He's mellowed out somewhat, right, Shirley? Over the years, he's mellowed out. But Slim used to just be plain tough. If he looked at you, you couldn't look him back in the eyes. You had to turn your head. But now he's become a softie. I've seen him do a lot of amazing things. I know a couple of things because we have a bunch of guys that will occasionally go over and meet once in a while in what we call the dungeon where he trains. And I remember one day it was just me and him, and he was in there, and he said, "Okay, he had his 12-pound challenge hammer. For those of you that don't know what it is, he's got a sledgehammer that's 12 pounds, and he sets it on the floor, and he gets people from the audience to come up and try to lift it." Well, I had been training for a long time, not on hammers, but I was able to lift it. And he goes, "Oh, no, boy, that's just startups." And he says, "Now you follow me." And he takes it and he pivots it up, and he just goes, and he wasn't going back down, he was going and stopping and bringing it and stopping and bringing it up and stopping. I don't know if you've ever tried to do that, but when the hammer's coming down like that and stopping it like he was just playing with me and messing with me. It was very humbling. Another thing he did, we'd go over there, he had an axe with 24.5 pounds total weight. Now keep in mind, an axe is even longer than the sledgehammer. It has a 37-inch handle compared to the 31-inch handle. And he would hand every one of us the axe when we come in there and hold it out, and he'd say, "You got it? Okay, I'm going to start to let it down. You got it?" We'd start to let it down and come crashing into our head. And of course, he'd catch it just in time. And I think the last time we did that, he was about 72 or 73, and then he made us all look like babies by doing it perfectly stripped. My favorite lifts of his, and I want you to get this. In fact, if I could have Tom or somebody, Chris, if you would go behind that, you're not going to miss anything. If you go right behind Slim's table, there's a garbage bag with something in it. If you could bring it up here, that would be great. I'm going to read you some of my favorite lifts of his, and actually today, maybe for the first time, you're going to hear his max double hammer lift. I'll tell you what it is at first. He actually did a strict double hammers, now keep in mind, bringing him off the floor, lowering him down to his nose, of 69.5 pounds. Now think about that. You're talking about 35 pounds practically per hammer. Thank you very much. 35 pounds per hammer, which just blows my mind. His max axe lift was 27 pounds strict. Again, the handle's longer, 37 inches as opposed to 31. Another one of my favorite things he does is he does a chest break by, expanding his chest. He breaks chain. He broke a number 6 jack chain. He also did a combination chain break where he would be bent over. He'd have the chest break apparatus on with a number 8 jack chain. He'd be bent over, have a number 6 coming from his waist and a number 8 on each wrist. And he would break them in succession, bang, 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 and explode the chest. Very, very difficult to do. I don't think there's anybody that's done this ever with the rod that he uses, but he actually can take, and I've checked the quality of this rod, and it's phenomenal. I got one in my collection. A 5/8 inch piece of rebar and put it on the bridge of his nose, lean his head back, and bend it into a U. And I've seen him where he almost blacked out from it. He's had blood running down his nose. This is the real deal. And rebar, just to let you know, is a lot harder than hot rolled steel. And this is one of the favorites. There's an old-time art called scrolling, for those of you that don't know, where you take metal and you twist it into different designs. And I know of a bunch of the people that do scrolling. This is one of the favorite scrolls that we've ever seen. But if you look at the thickness of the bar, Slim did this in 1965, which is a pretty incredible scroll. He said that he stopped doing scrolling. We asked him why he didn't do it anymore, and he said, well, I've stopped doing it simply because so many people were getting into it, and I like to be different. And I understand that. People come up to me all the time, and they say, hey, is he still strong? I said, well, last year at the dinner, Association of Old-Time Barbell and Strongman dinner, at 76 years old, he still did a double hammer lever of 53 pounds. Now, keep in mind, that's still not his max. He will always use a weight that he knows he's not going to fail at. That's something that he taught me, and I've tried to pass on to the guys that I've taught, that when you're a showman, don't do your max. People want to see you up there putting power into it, but they don't want to be waiting a half hour for you to finish something. You know what I'm saying? In another way you can test if he's strong, you're welcome to come up to his table after this and just shake his hand, and you'll find out real quick that he's strong. So anyhow, without further ado, I would like you to give a warm applause of respect to my friend, my mentor, and my second dad, Slim the Hammerman.